himself too that
I'm
hey,
sure.
I got this under control and I know what I'm doing and this, that, and the other, and
he's literally beloved,
right? The wrong stuff at the
internationally.
wrong time.
We're not talking about a guy that's just popular in the United States. Foo Fighters, they go well. They were in Bogota, Colombia,
right? They were headlining.
Now I wonder if
do
you think that in Colombia you could get drugs?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so but I guess it's the whole sad clown thing. It's like the Artie Lang story, right? Artie Lang has everything you could ever want.
Yeah.
All the money you could ever want. All the adulation you could ever want.
And he chooses to go down the wrong path knowingly.
Over and over. Right. And that's because I think the heroin has changed his brain chemistry.
Sure.
And I think his brain chemistry started to be altered when his dad died.
Possibly.
Remember? Yeah. Dad falls off a ladder. Yeah. Dad's his hero.
Yeah.
Dad falls off a ladder, becomes a quadriplegic, and dies in their living room. Mm-hmm. That's got to have an impact.
Well,
right?
You and I are both victims of that as well. And here we sit, much older than our fathers ever were.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. Although I would say,
now
in your case,
your situation's a little different.
I think it's easier.
I mean, because
I'm not trying to demean what happened to me.
No.
But my dad dying when I'm 4
right,
is way different than your dad dying at 19 or 18.
Right, I
think. Where were you? Were you 18?
Yeah, I get it.
I remember, not to pull this whole show down and make us all cry, but I remember sitting in my dorm room on Baker Hall, 3rd floor, calling you when I found out about your dad. And I remember being outside of my body almost when we're having the conversation. Like this probably isn't really happening. Mm-hmm. I remember the phone that I had in my hand when we talked. I remember the brown phone that they had in all the dorms, the dial phone in all the dorms at McKendree.
Yeah,
I remember that. So I know that had to have a huge impact on you, and yet here you are at 55, and you're not a derelict.
Well, I think again, it affects everybody.
Well, actually,
I am, but but it affects everybody in different ways. To this day, most days don't go by. I don't think of him in some way, shape, or form. But you sit there and you go, okay, you don't live in a bubble. Real life happens.
Yeah.
You just got hit in the face with it. It can make you, break you. You can go down. You can go through door A or door B, and you sit there and you go, okay, what would he sit here and say?
Right.
Right. That's not an excuse to become a derelict or anything else. Live your life how you're supposed to be. Remember
be a good man.
Remember what he taught you.
Be a good father.
Go on.
Because Dale Warren was not just a great father; he was a good man. Don't
forget.
Mm-hmm.
But again, don't let it become an excuse to do whatever the hell you want to do.
I don't appreciate your dad at 11 telling me that he didn't want me to ever use the F word in your house. I thought he was out of line that night, and
he probably was.
And I thought he was gonna. I really thought I was gonna get maybe a whooping. But the point is, I guess in some ways that does make it. In some ways that makes it easier for you, because you can live up. You want to live up to what he was, right? And I never got to know my dad enough. I mean, It sounds like he was an amazing dude,
right? You just know him through your mom.
But I know him through my mom in pictures, right?
Yeah.
I don't, I've got his DNA and that's about it. I was fortunate that my mom remarried her high school sweetheart, and he's the best man that is on the planet, right? So that was my dad, and is my dad to this day. But it's weird how, and this is public, it's public with Taylor Hawkins. We kind of know who he is. We know who they say he is, right? It's just weird how different people process things differently, how it devastates some. And,
I feel for his wife and kids.
And you wonder, where's the trauma? Where was the trauma in Taylor Hawkins' life that caused him to fall into the drug thing, right?
And maybe there wasn't any. Maybe
was it just being a rock and roll star,
right? And
having all the money in the world and the adulation.
Yeah. Again, maybe it was the hey. everybody that's gone south with this didn't know what they're doing, but I know what I'm doing. I can control it. I can do this when I'm away from home, and then when I go home, everything's fine. And you know,
I can hide this.
Right, we carry on, and one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden we're finding out you have 10 different substances in your system, and obviously that's never going to end well.
Yeah. Just a devastating week, and for us, it means a lot. We've seen Foo Fighters numerous times. I'm a huge fan. I love everything that they do. I hope they'll continue. I guess I would understand if Dave said I'm done.
I bet the house they continue.
I think they will too, because I think Dave Grohl just needs to make music,
and I think he'll come out and say, "Hey, look,
this is what Taylor would want."
This is what Taylor would want.
No doubt. And the fact is that if they want to find a good drummer,
I think he'll have his...
They won't have a problem.
Right. And by the way, and again, I'm a capitalist, and more power to everybody. He's going to sit there and go, yeah, there's way too much money to be made. So
right. So here, we all got the blueprint for that on print on some kind of monster.
Yeah.
When Metallica hired Robert Trujillo.
Right.
And they said, here's the deal. We made mistakes in the past. We're going to move forward. We're going to give you $1 million, and you're going to get 1/4 of everything we make.
Right.
Kirk's going to get 1/4. James is going to get 1/4. Lars gets 1/4. You get 1/4. And we've never done it that way. Well, I'd say here we are.
Almost 20 years
later. 20 years later, and it's worked pretty well. Mm-hmm. So, yes, they'll find the right guy. I think it should be Lars Ulrich.
Oh.
I think you should leave Metallica, tell James to screw off, and
how about Dan Carey?
I can't do that. I'm too addicted to Tool.
I
love Metallica, but Tool's too special.
Yep,
so, and the kids at school are starting to get on me a little bit about the whole Tool obsession, and it's just making me want to drive it home more. Like, I'm thinking about starting all of my classes with a Tool song.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's one way to educate.
That's what I think. So anyway, really sad story. And then another awful situation. This 8th grade just monster of a young man that by all accounts was going to be an impact player as a freshman football player, fell to his death in Orlando on an amusement park ride that was run by Billy's Amusements.
Huh.
I guess. Maybe he was restrained, maybe he wasn't. He was a 300-pound kid that I don't know should even been on that ride with other people.
Right.
And
that's awful.
And would I be talking about this if he was from San Antonio? Probably not. But the kid was from St. Louis.
He's local. Yeah, of course
and
we're gonna talk about
and was considering going to Cardinal Ritter.
Right.
Among others. And he's St. Louis. But the point is, I just don't understand this, and I hope the family gets absolutely everything they can get out of that amusement park ride.
Got to find out what happened.
Good news is they got video.
Yeah, you got to assess the situation. If there was negligence, absolutely they should get everything.
You talk like a freaking insurance
everything.
guy.
No, I'm just saying they should.
Well, he should have assessed the risk and.
I'm not saying that.
And called the TPA. That's an insurance term, isn't it? I've forgotten.
But no, you're absolutely right. If there was negligence, they absolutely should get everything that's coming to them.
Yeah,
no question.
Our heart goes out to that family and to all the people involved. It brought me right back to the Jalen McKenzie murder a few years back that occurred. So it's just awful to see this. And here's the deal, and I'm not I'm sure this is going to come off the wrong way. We can always edit it if I screw up, but the McKenzie thing was really awful. He was shot. Mm-hmm. At a party at midnight in Venice, Illinois. I don't know that an 8th grader should have been there. That's not the point. Right. But he was shot. Yeah. And it wasn't even intended for him. He just got hit by some crossfire.
Right.
This kid was at a camp and went to an amusement park.
Right.
Nothing bad. The only thing that should happen to you at an amusement park is you should throw up
if you get sick. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe scratch your knee on the Thunder Rapids.
Right.
You don't expect to slip out of a ride at 400 feet and die. And
no, that's awful.
I'm really moved by that. But we'll move on. Believe it or not, we're almost out of show. I thought we were going to have trouble filling this. Baseball, hot and running. It's good, and then we get
nastiness.
This.
Yeah. Terrible.
It was snowing as I came here tonight.
Oh, was it really?
It was pelleting on my car.
Well, I read earlier there's a freeze warning or something tonight.
There were pellets hitting my car. Now, it was 37, but there were pellets hitting my car. Yeah, and it's March 31st.
We're way past that.
Enough.
Yeah, enough.
I'm done.
Yeah. Agreed.
I need to get out, and we need to see. I guess it would appear early on that the power in this area this year is going to be at the big schools. If you look at what's happened already, Edwardsville off to an incredible start.
As usual.
As usual, right? That's not the big surprise. No. O'Fallon's off to an amazing start. I don't know that that's a real big surprise, although they did lose a lot.
Yeah.
Belleville East. Now, I know about Xander Meath, and I know about the Connor kid or whatever his name is, but they've got two other kids that they say would be aces everywhere else. They've got a four-man rotation.
If you have a true four-man rotation in high school, that is unheard of.
Oh my,
that's completely unheard of.
Oh, my God.
Let me put it this way. 4 guys that you feel confident could go out there and give you a good start and give you a chance to win. I mean, you're going to be unbeatable practically.
Holy cow. To Coach Wiggs,
that never happens.
What I would like to suggest, and I do have a suggestion for Belleville East, and also I'll make the suggestion for O'Fallon. You have Jabot on your schedule. How about we use that day to check out a new JV kid that you think might pan out?
Right.
How about we don't throw Xander Meath against the Hawks? And I don't think there's much chance we'll see that kid, but my luck and our luck is that it'll rain.
Right.
It'll rain the entire week, and his next start's not until the following Thursday.
He's got to get some work.
Well, he's got to get his innings in.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are okay with 95, aren't you?
He's got to get 30, 40 pitches in.
Oh, well, that might be enough.
Right.
Holy cow! So I'm really excited to see those games, and it's tough for me to get to games because of the games that I have.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty excited about that. It appears, by all accounts, that Muscuda is going to be a real problem in the MVC. I will give you my firsthand account of that at our next show because they're coming to Jabot Saturday for 2. Why we're playing Muscuda twice? Well, Andy Scare and I are going to have that discussion. How about we not schedule doubleheaders with O'Fallon, Waterloo, Vianney, Lutheran South, Muscuda? Could we pick up the Little Sisters of the Blind?
Well, as somewhat of an outsider, connected through you, but I don't know what else you do, to be quite honest, because Andy has done a really good job with the program. They're competitive every year, and if you sit around and beat up on other 1A teams, I don't think that brings out the best in the kids.
Well, it gets you 25 wins.
Right, sure. And some people
it gets you wiped out in the sectionals.
Right.
But
some people are happy with that. But I think he's doing what he pretty much, his only choice is to go and schedule. And, great for all those other teams for agreeing to play you.
Because, yeah, I do appreciate that.
Because, let's be honest, those 3 and 4A schools, there's nothing good that comes out of this game. They're supposed to pound you. And if by chance you win some of these games...
What do you mean by chance?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You win some of these games, it just is a negative reflection on them. Because they could very easily say, nah, sorry, we're full.
We're good for now.
Right, so good for Andy and good for the larger schools for playing you guys.
Yeah, I have a breakdown. I'll take a picture of it and text it to you on my board of our schedule and how many 4As, 3As, 2As, and 1As we play.
Yeah.
And it's not only unweighted...
Right.
It's unweighted big.
Sure.
And I realized, he's right. If Andy is definitely right, we're not going to get better playing schools that can't compete with us. That's not going to help us at all. And we've seen schools try that, and it doesn't work in any sport.
No.
So I appreciate that. But I will tell you that this past Wednesday, as we're preparing to play Waterloo, we're hosting Waterloo, I'm like, yeah, we played Granite City, we played Jerseyville, we played Roxana. But when Mark Vogel comes to town, it's a different animal. And it's going to be a different animal. And we were able to get over on him, but I know that the team that I saw from Waterloo on March the 29th is going to look very different than the team we're going to see on May the 29th.
You bet.
And so
that's Mark's plan.
Those of you in the MVC, hopefully you've been around long enough, and I know guys like Don Eddy and Coach Hawkins up at Highland have been around, and Jesse over at Tri. They've all been around long enough to know that do not pay attention to the fact that Jabot beat Waterloo 6-0 the other night. That has nothing to do with what their season's going to look like. They're going to figure it out.
Well, and Mark beats to the beat of his own drummer. And again, you've played 8 games, 9 games, and
Nine.
He's played